Hey guys, Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. Welcome back to the workshop podcast. Normally, this is live. It's kind of weird not having an audience. I miss you guys. But I am across the continent visiting family for a medical emergency type situation. I did not want to leave you guys without any content whatsoever. So I recorded a few of these one take, 20-minute ish podcast episodes. I hope you enjoy them. I decided the focus would be on principles and rules to live by as far as preparedness goes. And since we are getting so damn close to New Year's, I thought, why not revisit my concept of setting goals, not resolutions? Okay, so real quick before we dive in, if you want to know more about who I am, if you're new here, run by toolmantim.co. That's toolmantim.co. And there you will find my social media links, a sign up for the monthly newsletter, and most importantly, the shop. First off, it's a way you can support the content I create, but more importantly, there's way over 100 products there because I get asked all the time, Tim, what do you use for this? There's stuff there that I've used and abused, things that have made me money or saved me money in my handyman business. We got hand tools, cordless tools, landscaping gear, camera recording gear, and most importantly, a ton of preparedness related items. So if you run by there, anything you pick up, even if you just start your shopping there and buy something else from Amazon, it supports the content I create. And I'm very grateful for that. So thanks, guys. Okay, so this week, I wanted to start off with a story. Back in the day, I had a coworker who I worked with for the better part of a decade. And every single January 1st, they would come back to work and they'd say, well, I've done it. Well, technically January 2nd, because we wouldn't work on January 1st. I finally quit smoking. I said, oh, well, I'm proud of you. Great. You didn't want to be negative. You wanted to encourage the guy. And, one year it was chewing gum, and the next year it was patches, and another year it was prescriptions. And, you know, kind of sad or whatever you want to say, but sometimes it was January 7th, sometimes it was January 15th, and occasionally it was February 1st. But eventually, the same person would be sneaking outside smoking again because they set themselves a resolution. And as soon as they failed, they decided, well, I failed. So I guess I'll try again next year. And it was a vicious, vicious cycle of failure that continued every single year that I worked with this guy. And you knew he wanted to quit, but, I'm not saying that New Year's resolutions are bad. I'm just saying I think there's a hell of a lot better way. And I'm going to share with you what I've implemented in my life that's helped me get a lot more done in a year and has a much more positive swing and understanding of it than kind of the negative concepts of setting a resolution. Everyone always looks at setting a New Year's resolution as, well, I'm going to grin and bear it. And by the skin of my teeth, if I'm miserable, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get this done because I have to do it through sheer willpower, and failure is not an option. Insert cliche here. So, my biggest complaint with setting a resolution is it gives you permission to give up. It makes it way too easy to give up. I want to eat better. Okay, cool. So that's your New Year's resolution. And the first time that you sit down and decide, I'm going to eat an entire McCain's Deep and Delicious double chocolate cake, well, you failed. And you think, oh, well, I broke my resolution. I'm going to move on and just keep eating crap until next January 1st, and maybe I'll try again. I want to work out. Well, cool. So you've got all the motivation in the world for the first 14 days, and you sign a 1-year contract with an exercise, a gym, get a gym membership, and you go. And the first day you're tired and you don't go, well, I broke my resolution. So I guess I don't have to do it anymore. Or I want to build a business. Okay, cool. So we're going to start. I'm going to set a resolution to build a business. Don't have a sweet clue what I'm going to do. And I'm going to get confused and unmotivated and have no plan. And 3 days in, I'm not going to think about it again until next year. I might not even think about it next year. I want to fill in the blank. Whatever it is that a person wants to do, and you set yourself up that miserable old New Year's resolution on January 1st, and you think, well, I don't really have a plan, but this is the end product's going to be. And if I'm going to be miserable, I don't have a choice. I'm just going to keep doing it. It's that kind of fear motivation, the fear of failure. It gets you going for the first couple of weeks, might get you through the first month even. You might manage to not go outside and give in to that temptation for a cigarette for the first 31 days of January. Well, Tim, there's only 31 days, so there's really nothing that comes after that except February, of course. But, you still got to wake up on February 1st and you still have those cravings. And you know what? The thing about wanting to succeed is you're going to screw up. And that's the thing that I always found resolutions never allowed for. There was no room to screw up. And now I'm not saying, okay, it's good to screw up. I'm just saying, to be realistic, there's a good chance you probably will. And you know what? If a person set a goal to quit smoking at the end, I want to be a non-smoker still at the end of this year. Well, there's two ways to look at that. First off, okay, I've made it to January 30th. I frigged up. I had a smoke. Well, okay, I guess I'll just keep smoking and I'll try again January 1st. So that's giving you permission to smoke for 11 more months before you try again. Or the other option is I'm on a journey. I want my goal is to be a non-smoker at the end of this year. And I'm going to stop smoking right now. And of course, on the 30th or 31st of January, I screw up and have a smoke. Well, you know what? I've been a non-smoker for 30 days. And I'm still a non-smoker. I just screwed up and smoked once. I'm going to keep going and I'm going to keep working because I'm healthier now than I was 30 days ago. That's the idea of setting goals. It gives you motivation. It gives you excitement. It's a positive way of looking at it. A resolution is binary. It's either 1 or 0, on or off, open or closed, success or failure. There's no journey involved. Goals are a journey. It's measured in progress. So what's more positive? All right, I got a 0, I fail, I'm done. Or you know what? I've gone 30 days without smoking, or I've worked on building this business for 30 days, but I got lazy for a day. Well, that's okay. I'm not giving up. I'm not moving on. I am on this journey. And if I turn around and look behind me, I'm 30 days down the road from where I started. It's not a binary on and off. It's a journey towards success. And that has been, what has driven me the last, I guess, 6-7 years now. If you fail 3 weeks down the road, you're still closer to your goal. And when I say fail, I really mean screw up or take a day off. Or, that's the other thing about resolutions is it never gives you a break. It never gives you a day off. And I get it. I understand because sometimes you fall back into temptation or whatever. But if you've gone 3 weeks or 4 weeks with success, you're 3 or 4 weeks closer to your goal, not, I failed. It's time to move on. To me, that is super important. Like I said, if you eat an entire cake, say you're trying to eat keto or you are eating keto and you've had huge success. And then like me, for about 6 weeks, I went completely off the wagon and I could look at it as one of two ways. Well, I failed. I guess I'll go back to my old, way, way overweight, unhealthy, high blood pressure self simply because I fell off the wagon for a bit. No, I just got back on the wagon and I kept on riding. And that is what really, I guess, that to me, that is the positive aspect of setting goals. You might even backtrack for a bit, but you're usually still way further ahead, or at least have the experience and can continue down that path. So this started for me. I had to look back. So I'm going to share with you a bit of my process for how I set my goals, but at least back as far as 2015, I have a notepad on my phone. It says, goals for 2015, goals for 2016. And I keep an entire list. And, the first year it was pretty short and pretty brief. It was just a few things. It was like, I was 35 at the time and I'd never learned how to ice skate. So I put on the list that I wanted to learn how to ice skate, and I did, and I enjoyed it and it was fun. And I started with that and I worked my way through. And I think I wanted to learn how to do a Rubik's Cube as well. And I did. I couldn't tell you now if I still know how to do it or not. But to me, that was, those were some of the goals I put on my list. And I realized, what, these are simple little things. I started out with, what, I want to add items to my life that I've always been interested in, but never made the time to do. And then I started realizing I can use the same system to better my life, not just learn things that I always wanted to learn, but to actually make marked improvements in all areas of my life. And so what I did was I started looking at the entire systems of my life, like food storage, finances, business, relationships, personal health, all of those. And I would break it down into all these different sections. And then I would set individual goals, actual measurable, achievable goals. Like I want to lose 100 pounds by December, instead of just saying, well, I'm making a resolution to go on a diet. And as soon as I eat a pizza, you suck, right? So, and what it allowed me to do was throughout the year, whenever I would have downtime, so if I'd have half a day off, or I had, I don't like using the word bored because I'm never bored, but when I had some free time, I would go back to my goals list and I could just consistently reevaluate and say, okay, well, how are you doing with this, Tim? Okay. Like this year, one of my goals was to get my YouTube channel to 5,000 subscribers by the second anniversary. And that is going to be February 1st, somewhere around there. And you know what? I'm probably going to hit 3,000 by the new year, roughly. So I'm probably not going to hit 5,000 by February 1st. And that's okay, because you know what else is really cool about goals? Even if you don't make it all the way to that goal, you're better off for it and you've made a ton of progress. That's another way to separate goals from resolutions. If you go along and all of a sudden you're like, I give up and I move on. Well, you haven't made any progress. You just going back to where you were. But setting a goal, you end up having a whole bunch. Even if you don't succeed, you've still succeeded. If that kind of makes sense for you. It gives me 12 months to achieve my goals. So it allows me to focus on different areas throughout the year. One year I wanted to get my ham radio license. So I spent about 2 months just diving into all of that. And then when I was done with that, I could move on to something else. But then there's other goals like, the last year and a half being on keto, lost 110 pounds, which was great, but that's not something you're going to do in just a month or two. That needs to happen over a year or two. And so that allows you to, you have some goals that you're going to do on a daily basis, and you're going to see little bits of improvement here, there. Whereas other goals, you can just throw a whole bunch of time at on 1 or 2 days and maybe knock those out. And I always had a little system. So I put the list, of all the different items I want. And so say, for instance, I want to lose 100 pounds. Well, I used a 5-star method for this one. And so if I lost 20 pounds, I'd add 1 star, 40 pounds would be 2. And when I made it all the way to my goal, I would cross that goal out on my paper, or, on my notepad. And so for me, that was a way to just always use my downtime to be heading in the right direction. It gives me purpose and it gives me a hell of a lot of motivation. It was a way I used to, gradually build up my crypto investments a little bit more. It allowed me to reach certain goals with my not stockpile, but with my collecting of precious metals. It allowed me to build my business. It allowed me to create more with my content. It gave me goals to shoot for. My word of the year this year was build. Last year it was grow. And so, I wanted to grow something from scratch last year, and I did. And this year I wanted to continue to build on that and to just keep going. And, those were all those goals. And to me, that's the key is, having a purpose. And it gives you a purpose to what you do every single day. And it's easy to just get lost all the time. And, I'll find myself sometimes, I'll go a month and I won't have opened up that notepad in a month and looked at it. And I'll think, well, you know what? It's been a little while. I got to look. And I do. And I end up, oh yeah, I'm motivated. Or, I got 3 months left. Well, right now I've got, as I'm recording this, about 6 weeks left in 2021. So I'm due for one final observation of my list to try to figure out what exactly I can finish up. And I'm in pretty good shape. And it also allows you to pace yourself a little bit, because you can look at your goals and you say, oh, well, I need to get, 25% done in the first quarter and 50 by the second and 75 by the third. And, it just really helps me get a lot more shit done this way. It allows me to focus on all areas of my life, and it allows me to kind of get to where I want to be. This has been a personal mantra of mine for a lot of years. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not perfect by any means with this. This is not something that I have always succeeded at, but it is something I've always modeled since I've started. and it's really changed things for the better. So, take a minute and look. Like I said, New Year's resolutions just set you up to fail. And if you do, then you have no reason to keep going. So set yourself some goals. Look at all areas of your life, wherever areas you really want to see improvement. And that can be specific things like I want to have 60 days worth of food on hand to feed my family in case we can't go to the grocery store. Or it could be something a little less measurable, like I want to be more healthy. And you know what's cool about that is I said it's a journey, but when you set the goal, a lot of times you don't exactly know how you're going to get there, but it gives you an endpoint to where you want to go, and it allows you to formulate. This is like how I do projects. I when I sided my house this summer, I knew the end product would be having a house full, nice with siding on it. But I didn't know exactly how I was going to get there. I had an idea, but I had to learn new skills along the way. I had to set goals and I had to do things each and every day. And as I did that, in the end, I found the goal. I didn't really know what the journey was going to be along the way, but it made a huge difference in getting me to where I wanted to go. So, anyway, January 1st, December 31st is coming up, and we're all going to sing Auld Lang Syne, and we're all going to be happy and sad, and everybody's going to be like, thank God 2021's over, and, well, insert your cliche. But when it comes down to it, we can follow the masses and do our everyday, like, well, I'm going to make a resolution. Okay, everybody's got to make No, you don't. You don't have to. Don't make a resolution. Set yourself some goals, And I start this process a couple of weeks before the end of the year, because I really want to have it all nailed down by the time January 1st hits. So just start, last couple of weeks of the year. It kind of tends to be busy, but if you have a little downtime, just start taking some notes, start knocking some stuff out onto a notepad and figure out where the hell you want your life in 12 months, because you can't get much done in a day, but you can sure get way more done in a year than you'd ever think you could. And that's the beauty of setting goals over resolutions. So guys, I hope that helped. I hope you enjoyed that. I miss having you live in here in the workshop with me. I will be, I'm not exactly sure how my holiday schedule is going to work yet, but I'll be back soon. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for sure. I'm glad I was able to put some content out here while I was gone for you. The regular video schedule will follow as well, so that'll be great. If you want to continue to get these videos, hit the subscribe button on YouTube or over on Odyssey, if you follow me on Odyssey, or if you're listening, if you just happen to come across this podcast, hit the subscribe button, follow the podcast in whatever podcatcher you tend to use. And, do me a favor, if you liked what I had to offer, the best way you can support me is by sharing my content out there and growing our workshop community. So guys, thank you for hanging out with me this week. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.